I've lived in Coe College's housing since August 2019, and since then I've had many run-ins with residence life, ranging from fighting for an investigation into our hallway's rancid smell to helping me loft my bed at the drop of a hat. I don't think anyone expects college dorm living to be a 5-star hotel, however Coe seems to be particularly struggling, especially when it comes to things like rampant mold problems, water damage, and pests. Recently, Student Senate came out with a 382-page report on housing code violations committed by Coe College that gave the housing on campus a grade of C-, and if you haven't read it, I urge you to. It states those in charge of maintaining living facilities owned by Coe College are doing the bare minimum to avoid fines and fees from violating codes, and are even suspected of shirking the requirements of regular and thorough housing inspections. Regardless of this suspicion, the college definitely does not go beyond the minimum of survivability, allowing students spaces in which they can thrive. Through my experiences and those of many students on campus, I have to agree. I reached out to Abby Jankowski, a former RA, to get her insights on what her experiences were like working in res life. What does being an RA entail?
So we are required to basically make it comfortable for students to be living in, which is sometimes very difficult. I really enjoyed getting to know all of my residents and being able to work with people. My least favorite things were the people in charge and the way they treated staff. For the building I worked in, the one person above me, my senior RA, I didn't believe treated other RAs fairly within the building, and the way that this person acted towards some of us and to others was not the same. I found that really hard because I'm an elementary ed major, so I am very passionate about making sure people have fair opportunities, and I didn't think it was fair. One of the people above her, I didn't believe was fair to anyone, and kind of treated the regular RAs like we were far under him. He was the person that signed our checks, even though we are co-students, so really we're the one paying everyone's bills.
Do you think Coe is doing enough to make on-campus living situations satisfactory for students?
No, absolutely not. There is mold just about everywhere in Voorhees. The entire building is covered in mold. And when you put in work orders for that, nothing gets done. I know specifically one of my residents, they contacted P-Plant about mold in their room and they just painted over it. I don't think that they make it a safe place to live. That I think if anyone in charge of res life had to live in these conditions, I think they would completely lose it. The students put up with all of this stuff and we get no say in it because Coe makes it really hard to live off campus.
Coe's rules state that students cannot live off campus unless they are married, have dependent children, live with their parents within 25 miles of campus, or are over the age of 24. I reached out to Alexander Nichols, Assistant Director for Returning Students, to see how Coe was responding to these issues.
So my role kind of falls into 3 big buckets. The first being student staff selection, supervision, and training. The other big piece of my job is doing that programming and educational reflection piece. And then kind of the third big piece that I do is student care and support. So that's doing wellness checks on students, following up on any facilities issues or work order issues y'all might have. Staff here, we're not clairvoyant, we're not God. We don't know every problem happening, and unless you tell us, submit work orders, email us, email Larry Lee, email residentslife@coe.edu. I promise someone will respond. We care about your issue, and if it's small enough, we can make it happen.
So a lot of students feel like Coe's housing options aren't really great, more updated for a multitude of reasons, including just age of the buildings, and there's been issues with mold and cockroaches, and recently I've seen rats in AD. What is Coe doing to work on making these situations better?
Well, I would like to say, if you look on our website on the Coe College Residence Life mission statement, our mission is to provide world-class facilities, right? And I definitely feel like we're striving to make that the case for y'all. That in mind, not all spaces on campus are equal, right? Some buildings were easier for us to update because they came later, such as Schlarbaum, Spivey, Brand, and Morris House. Well, some of them have been here since 1938 in Green, which hasn't received a renovation kind of as a full gutting since 1938, right? I think our president, David Hayes, likes to joke the showers he went here in the 80s are the same showers here now. But I can say that we are making active gains to at least update two of our older residence halls of Murray Hall and Green Hall over the next 2 summers of 2023 and 2024 as well. And we already have an architect and been working very heavily with Student Senate and some construction firms to have a solid plan for renovating those bathrooms at least.
I was not aware of these renovations at the time and was pleasantly surprised that they were being done. However, I live in Voorhees Hall, where we have had many incidents of men trying to peek in on women showering because you can't lock your shower stall since it only has a curtain. This is also a severe issue among other dorm halls on campus, including Murray and Green, sparking a petition to get locking doors. This petition was seemingly ignored by college administration. I wanted to talk to Stephen Strope, Dean of Residential Experience and alumni of Coe, about why this might be.
I have oversight of the department, and so I work a lot on budget management, policy development, just oversight of what is the direction we want residence life to go. There's always going to be things, especially as facilities age, that you're going to have to work through. You know, for example, over in Green Hall, how it has the large open room for the showers instead of individualized showers. That wasn't necessarily a thought or an issue, you know, when that building was built, and now it's something that's on the minds of the current generation of students. Student expectations are changing, and we need to look at ways that we can continue to update and improve buildings to meet those expectations. In some buildings, you know, there are things that unfortunately, you know, we have to work around because of budget issues. You know, we're not an auxiliary department where all of the housing dollars that come in don't go straight to res life. They go back to the general operating budget and are split up, you know, all over campus. I think some of it is taking advantage of the resources and the funding that we're able to get and doing really smart, logical projects with it. And then there's just some freak things that happen. You know, I mean, every building, I was just this morning, I had a bug in my house. You know, I think it's helping students to understand that that's not uncommon. We're going to have some of those things come up. And so I think it's working with our physical plant and contractors that we partner with to say, okay, how can we continue to improve our response time and our response to those things? And a lot of that is partnering with students. I think students in the past have concerned about whether or not people were listening to them. And so we're trying to work on that communication flow to say, look, if you get in touch with us, we're going to respond to this and we're going to do that. Some of that I think is perceived. Some of that I think is because that's the experience people have had with some folks in the past.
I personally live in Voorhees, and I know a lot of Voorhees bathrooms. We've had a problem with like men coming in because it's just a curtain separating the shower. If there's any plans to work on like getting all the bathrooms updated on campus.
Yeah, I haven't heard that specific concern yet. These are not always like simple, quick fixes, and oftentimes they're very expensive. I mean, for example, we're talking a multi-million-dollar renovation in Green. College is expensive. There's no way around that. The Green and Voorhees bathrooms, or Murray bathrooms, for example, have been a project that I know has been on the radar for about 5 years, but it's been 5 years worth of trying to get the funding to do those things. I know that there's a big push right now to say, let's get bathrooms that have a door, a solid door on them. But if we don't do that right, those doors still have gaps that you can see right through. So we have to figure out how we can do it right and do it in a way that makes sense. But also some of that is trying to figure out, are there other policy things, are there expectation things that we can set forth? What's the campus culture, and how do we work on that to make sure that males are not just walking into the bathroom, and that they know that, hey, we should probably knock first, or hey, we should go downstairs and use the public restrooms that are provided.
Is there anything else you would like to say to students, or anything else you want to mention?
I mean, one, just keep doing everything you're all doing because you're awesome. And two, please keep coming in and talking to us because we love to hear from you. We love to know what's going on. We love to know what your concerns are because, again, there's some low-hanging fruit things that we can address pretty quickly. And there's some other things that maybe are going to take some more strategic planning. But as we go into a strategic plan, we've got the opportunity to throw those ideas out there and try to get them in there on a bigger scale. My job is to be here for you all. And so I take that very serious. And so we want to have that relationship with you.
I love you all. Coe loves you all. from the faculty to the president to the custodian to work in physical plant. We really are glad that you came here. And I do mean that. If you ever need any of us, stop us. We walk around too sometimes. We want to talk to y'all. We want to hear about your experiences. And I'm just honored to have the chance to work with you all every day. So thank y'all.
My biggest takeaways from talking with Res Life staff are that it takes a lot of money to run a facility. Telling predators to knock before entering a bathroom will stop them from trying to see people in the shower, and that students need to talk to them. I will say, I do think that Residence Life has improved in its communication with students in the past year. Their response time is better, and they seem to be taking things more seriously. However, I still think there's a lot of work to be done. I think Abby put it best.
Things are only going to get worse before they get better, and it's important that we make our voices heard and we continue to speak out about things that are wrong at Coe.